Okay, members and friends, we're going to keep this short, right? Just, got to keep with the format here. So I went to court yesterday, so that would be court day number 7. That's 2 for me and 5 for social services. So anyway, court date's been confirmed for everybody to come together. Father, mother, me, social services, judge, and applicable lawyers. So there will be, at least 1, and then, maybe 2 with the father's lawyer, and maybe 3 with mine. Mine's still pending. I put an application in yesterday for legal aid, and they asked me who I wanted, and I said, well, to be fair, we'll go with the first fella that I requested, and then if he doesn't want to do it, right, we'll go to the second one, and then if not, we'll go into the duty council's lawyers that I was with over the last couple of days. I'm really tired. It's been a long week. I was putting in like 12, 13 hours with those books. Actually more than that. I was going till 4 or 5 in the morning, and it's like walking around and, just getting all whatever, and then I'd be up at 8:30, 9, do a few things, and then back on those books. So I'm totally exhausted here, right? Plus I'm driving, driving, just doing things. This is now, today I'm going to clean house, and tomorrow I'm getting out in the yard, and I've got things to do out there. But anyway, so as I continue working on the nonprofit, I think for myself, in terms of trying to help set a precedence, I'm going to write in the suggestion somewhere along the way as I'm trying to promote, the initiatives that I work on, that somehow BC sets up an independent review board of a sort. I don't know the legalities of the names and the titles and, job descriptions, but I think that there needs to be an independent body of individuals that are separate from the main fray, so that case files can be submitted, however they're submitted, to be reviewed, to fill in the blanks, or to highlight areas where, the clients are either being... Hold on a minute. Well, we're not surprised. Okay, so anyway, as I was saying, put an application in for a lawyer, and, the first fella, that initially when I put an application in, because the lady said, well, who do you want? And I said, well, I don't know. Like, let's just go down the list. Let the lawyer choose me, right? The first one I made an application for, ask him. If he says no, because, he knows about my videos, and he knows that, I work on a nonprofit, and he knows I'm vocal, and he may, he doesn't want, he's the one that didn't want the big rally outside the courthouse, right? The big, boom, boom, right? So, he may not decide to represent me. So that's fine. I can respect that. The second fella, well, it's his choice, right? He has the information to my nonprofit. He knows somewhat about, what's going on with my, with my case, with my grandson. So again, it boils down to his choice. And then, the duty councils that I have been dealing with over the last couple of days, can you please stop?
Yeah, I thought.
Right. I don't want to hear water boiling. So I'm kind of pissy today, right? Because I'm tired. I'm very, very tired. So anyway, let me get to the point. Again, it's his choice, and if not, there's several duty councils that are familiar with me, right? And just over the last couple of days with the court that's been happening with the custody. So I said, well, you can see who represented me there. You can ask them. They can choose between themselves, right? If they want to represent me, if I get approved. So we'll find out who my lawyer will be in the end, right? If I get a lawyer. It depends if I get approved yet. I don't even know if I'm approved yet. Irregardless, train of thought, obviously got broken. I'm tired. So I think what I want to say here is, as I continue to work on my nonprofit, because I know I'm getting my grandson back, okay, it's just a matter of time. And when we go to court on the 9th of May, I want him back the next day. Bottom line. Okay, because he needs to come home. He's not growing. He's had too many problems, and there's no need for him to be there. We can build in the safety nets at home. Like we should have initially done that from the very get-go. He'd be thriving right now if he was at home and not removed from the home. So outside of that, you know, I still work on a nonprofit, and you know, it's brought me into some areas that, you know, I want to continue building on in terms of how the nonprofit can help people, families, and children. And you know, as a president, I have to bring in balance. You know, it's hard for me to sometimes separate my personal life from my nonprofit, but unfortunately, as a founder and as a president and as someone that's been doing this for so long, you know, it just goes together, right? And, you know, I've already put it out there that, you know, anytime, you know, we can get a new president, and, you know, we're going to build on some new board directors, and, you know, we're going to take this nonprofit to a new level, but for now, we're still stuck with me. And so as a president and a founder to the foundation that I work on, I think my recommendations over the next year, as I build in, you know, precedents and agendas and, you know, ideas and that type of thing, I would like to see an independent board established for the province of British Columbia, obviously, right, where case files through social services and, you know, the apprehension of children is reviewed from an independent body so that they can be pre-screened and either corrected on the advice of the ones doing the audits, or it can be highlighted so that when it goes in front of the judge, we can cut out the riffraff and get to the point and provide better services, first of all, to the children, right? Because that's the #1 agenda, the families, and to help the many, many different types of workers, because we're not dealing with just one worker. You know, we're dealing with the courthouse, we're dealing with the social workers, you know, we're dealing with family members, and, you know, we're dealing with lawyers, and we're dealing, you know, we're just dealing with a multitude of people in a modge-podge, kind of just thrown all together, and we're trying to, you know, find our way. And as we're doing that, obviously corruption is, you know, embedding itself in different areas, and, you know, and again, people become desensitized to the corruption. So, you know, we have to bring it down to a case-by-case individual level, right? So that when it goes in front of the judge is getting the information, because I'm finding that's the biggest gap, is the judges are not getting the full information, and people need to take responsibility for that, whether it's the parents themselves being irresponsible, or whether it's the social workers being irresponsible, whether it's the lawyers being irresponsible, or maybe even in some cases where the judges are being irresponsible in terms of being negligent and just saying, oh, well, you know, let's go on to the next case. But, you know, we just want to treat people as individuals and work on bringing in better safety nets for the kids, and try and merge the different groups together so that at the end of the day, you know, when the book comes forward, it comes complete. And if it's not complete, we fill in the blanks so that it reads proficiently. And I think that's a good direction for BC to go in. I think that shows leadership. We used to be a strong province in terms of, you know, child poverty being the lowest of all of Canada. Now we're faced with being the highest with child poverty in terms of Canada. So, you know, we have a long way to backtrack and to do a lot of repair. But if enough of us jump on board in a very timely, quick manner, I think there's a lot that can be done in the next year or two in terms of reversing this damage that has posed itself, that's systemic across the continent. And just because it's in Alberta, in Saskatchewan, in the United States, and the UK, doesn't mean that people in BC have to accept that as the norm. So that's where I'm going with the nonprofit. You know, whether lawyers appreciate that or not in me, and, you know, feel that, you know, I'm a detriment to their reputation, you know, because I'm a little bit of a shit disturber or whatever they want to label me as, you know, it's irregardless. It's not about you and it's not about me. It's about what's right for the kids and what's right for the province and what's right for the workers and what's right for the families. Because at the end of the day, you know, I don't think people purposely go out of their way to destroy lives. Although, just the way society is set up under a capitalistic system, and, you know, everybody's depressed in one way or another. We're all depressed, you know, in that 80% zone. Maybe not that upper crust 20%. They don't got nothing to be depressed about too much, right? But the rest of us, 80% and that big gap in there, we're all depressed. So we got to find ways to fix that. So my recommendation will be to build on an independent review that can help to clear up some gaps within these files as they're going in front of the judge, and so that the judges are receiving the information and the parents are being represented fairly. The children are being, you know, protected in the proper realm of how they should be protected within all the different systems within the system. And so, yeah, so that's what I'm going to say. Keep it short. And I'm getting my grandson back, definitely. He needs to come home. This is his home. This is where he belongs. This is my #1 agenda. Unfortunately, I had to bring it into the mix of the foundation. But, you know, sometimes when you walk the talk, right, you know, people value that. It's not like I'm just talking hot air. It's not like I'm just assuming things, or, you know, I've actually been there. So, again, it boils down to being part of the solution. So I want to be part of the solution. So I think everybody's going to take a bath. You know, it's time to clean up our act. So we got our little friend here to help us with that. Hold on here.
Splish splash, I was taking a bath, long about a Saturday night. A rough gun, just relaxing in the tub, thinking everything was alright. Well, I stepped out of the tub, put my feet on the floor, wrapped the towel around me and I opened the door, and then a splish splash, I jumped back in the bath. How was I to know there was a party going on? I wasn't splishing and a splashing. I wasn't rolling and a strolling. I wasn't moving and a grooving. I wasn't reeling and a rolling.
All right, people.